All right, good day. Welcome to Mike on Mike. Imam Asif, welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's been a year later. What has
Yes.
this COVID-19 pandemic been like on your end?
Yes. Yes. It's been 1 year, and one thing I know, this pandemic introduced Mike to me. If there was no any, if there was no any pandemic, if there was no any COVID-19, I would have never been able to see you and to talk with you and to communicate with you. So you see, everything happens for the good reason.
A
So,
very,
so,
very
we,
good reason.
so I know you and you know me, and this is a good thing. So yeah.
Like, how has the Ramadan experience this year been different for you compared to last year?
Well, to be honest, my brother Mike, last year we had a very different kind of Ramadan, and that was the first experience for us to observe the month of Ramadan, or to observe the fasting in the month of Ramadan in the lockdown, where we can't access to the mosques and we can't break the iftar or dinner together as a community, as a family members. So that was a thing of last year. And last year, when we were going through all those kind of things that we were not expecting, we were hoping that Ramadan in 2021 will be hopefully a little bit different, and the way we are planning and the way it used to be. But now it's like a same thing we have to face again, once again. But it is a good thing that at least first 2 weeks in the month of Ramadan, we were able to come in the mosque, and we were able to establish the Taraweeh. We were, offer our prayers at the masajid, at the mosques throughout the country, Trinidad and Tobago, because at that time lockdown was not it was not enforced. But I think after 2 weeks, after 15 to 16 days, these restrictions started to come, and so here we go now. No more mosques. So mosques are totally locked, and so. But even the mosques were open for those first 15 and 16 days. We didn't have any kind of iftar and dinner in the mosque, because we wanted to make sure that we don't engage with much people, and we follow the COVID-19 regulations, the government laws, the government regulations. So we were only coming in the mosque just to offer the salah, just to offer the prayer, but we were still breaking our fast at home with our family members. And
What are
in between we were doing the curbside pickup as well from our mosque, from our San Fernando Jama Masjid. In weekends, we were preparing the meal, we were boxing it up, and we were inviting people to collect it between 4:30 to 5:30 from the San Fernando Jama Masjid. So they were just coming, and it's like a drive-through. So we were delivering them the foods, iftar and dinner. But that was only for those, let's say, 2 weeks. But when this lockdown came, they closed the mosque. So then we freezed those kind of activities as well. We stopped those activities. So now basically what is happening, mosques are closed and only few people are allowed just for the live streaming, and so that's it. Yeah.
what masjid are you connected with?
San Fernando Jama Masjid.
The Shah Fernando Jama Masjid. What has your
Yes.
brothers and sisters been saying? I mean, it's a year later. They have a little more experience of Ramadan now. What have they been saying with the virtual space and still trying to keep the community together?
Yes. Yes. So now this is what I'm doing, and with God's help, with the assistance of one true God, with the help of one true God, I started this. We started this last year in 2020, when we had these restrictions, when there was a lockdown. We were not able to go and attend the mosque, and not able to give the message and receive the message. So I have started this live streaming, so that I can be able to connect with my community, with my brothers and sisters throughout the country, and even outside of the country. People were following me, and people still follow us, Alhamdulillah, through the grace of Allah, through the assistance of Allah. So I was able to connect with them through Facebook live streaming, and as well as via our YouTube, San Fernando Jama Masjid YouTube channel as well. So that helped us, to still connect with each other virtually online, although we are not physically together, but online, like right now we are, talking and communicating, sharing our views. So similarly, I was able to do it throughout the month of Ramadan, last year and this year as well.
What are your words of advice for family members out there who are about to celebrate Eid? They're saying now that there is more evidence that COVID-19 is airborne. So keep your family unit close. If you're going out, follow the guidelines. What are your words of
Yeah.
advice for members of your community?
Yes. So now we believe, as a Muslim, we believe that it is very important to trust in Allah, to rely in one true God, but at the same time you have to tie your camel. This is the term that we always use within the Muslim community, within the Muslim teachings, because this is something which was said by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Once a companion came by him and he said, "Oh, the Prophet of God, I have this camel. Shall I tie it and then trust in God, or shall I just leave it in the desert or in the jungle and then trust in God?" So he said, "No, tie your camel first. Make sure you tie it, and then trust in God. Then rely on God." So what we have to do now, we have to take all the precautions like wearing the mask, washing your hands, sanitizing your hand, social distancing, and avoiding all the massive gatherings and visiting people home, because on the day of the Eid, it is our custom, actually it is our tradition that we visit our family members, we visit our friends, we invite them, they invite us, we cook for them, they cook for us. So it's like these are the things that we always do, but this year we can't do these things, because the less we interact with people, the better it is for us and for the society, for the community, for the country. So when we are, following the COVID regulations, we are not saving our lives, we are saving the lives of others. So when we are wearing the mask, so it is not only for our safety, we are wearing the mask for others as well. And these are the true teachings of Islam. Islam teaches us to think about others, to save the humanity, to save the mankind. And so my advice to my Muslim brothers and sisters, and to my non-Muslim brothers as well, and sisters, that please follow the guidelines that the government is giving you. And those, my brothers and sisters, those who are celebrating their Eid al-Fitr at their homes, just spend the time with your family members, with your children, with your spouse, with your parents, with your in-laws, and just worship your God and remember your God. And you can connect with your family members the way right now we are connecting with each other via Zoom, via Facebook, via Skype, via WhatsApp chat, WhatsApp video. So we still have the options available. At least we can see with each other. It's not like 100 years ago where you can't talk, you had to make the letters, and that letter has to go in the mailbox, and then the TT post will take it for you. It will reach after 2 months or after 1 week, God knows. And then you have to wait for the reply. So it takes like more than a month to have that relation, or to convey the message. So now at least we have these technologies, and we thank Allah for this. We praise our one true God, that at least we can see and we can talk, we can communicate. Within the second, we can convey our message in any part of the world.
So it's just not just these fasting and sharing of meals is one of the actual thing that your community does during this particular time. But charity is a big aspect of it. How has charity changed, or what have you been doing in terms of giving back to society in terms of charity now during this pandemic?
Now, when it comes to charity, we did hampers distribution, and we prepared the meal and we distributed among the destitute, among the needy, among the poor ones, those who are in need. We didn't stop those things, because we can't stop like those charitable things, because a lot of people, they depend on our relief, they depend on our health. So but we still continued those things, but we were following all the COVID those protocols, those regulations, social distancing. And a lot of Muslim brothers and families and the sisters, they donated the hampers to our mosque, San Fernando Jama Masjid, and then we dispersed it, then we distributed it among the needy, among the poor. So we continuing it, and by following the COVID-19 regulations.
Has this pandemic strengthened your community in any way, or has it weakened your community?
Well, this is a good question. I don't think so. It has weakened our community.
Okay.
The only minus is this, that we're not able to physically be around each other and to shake the hands, because we as Muslim, we love to shake the hands while we are greeting each other. And on the day of the Eid, we greet each other, brothers to brothers they hug, and sisters to sisters they hug. So those are the things that we do, but nowadays we are not doing it. But I don't think so it has weakened us, because like, for example, since this pandemic started, these restrictions started, now I'm able to access with more people via social media. Everything happens for the good reason. Before, I used to have the following in my mosque, let's say 300 congregation, 300 people sitting, 150 brothers, 150 sisters and children as well. So now it is going to thousands. So I think that is something that is growing now. Community is growing, messages going to the wider community, to the broader community, to the more people as well. So Alhamdulillah, we think that this pandemic didn't weaken us, and but we hope that soon this will go away, and early the better for us, for our community, for the entire Trinidad and Tobago, for the whole world, so that we can resume our every single thing. But I think, is my personal opinion, that right now everything is on the restart button. God has just pressed the restart button. So you see, everything is refreshing now, because most of us, we have forgotten our one true God. So now God is telling us that you have to once again reconnect yourself with your Creator. And if you noticed around yourself, you will realize one thing, that only the mankind is affected, only the humanity is affected with the COVID, with this virus. The rivers are still flowing, trees are still exist, mountains are still there, ocean is still there, fishes are still there. All the other creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one true God, is still walking, talking in their own language, eating, doing everything. So this is what is happening with us. This virus is a reminder for us, for the mankind, for the humanity, for the insan, for the children of Adam, for the sons of Adam, for the children of Adam. So I think we should take the reminder, and we should understand this very important thing, that God is powerful, and He has the strength, and He can change every single thing in 1 second. And He can change the whole world with something that we can't even see. Now, this virus we can't see. We can't even see with our naked eye. We can't see it at all. So you can imagine that the whole world is afraid of something that we can't even see. With something very tiny, with something very small, with something very little. So this.
I like that perspective, because it's almost like something. I'm not say the pandemic is like God, but I mean, in terms of action, it's something you can't see, but your behavior could save your life. I mean, that connection is a very deep connection, Imam. But as I look to wind up in the interview, I have a two-pronged question. How have the elders in your community been able to adapt, because everything is kind of going digital for now, for this time? And second part of that question is, do you see the online services and actually having that online presence as something that you're going to be continuing after the pandemic?
Yes. Now, first, with the elderly, yes, it's a challenging for the elderly members of the community, because they don't know the digital things. They don't know Facebook. They don't know Insta and Facebook, those kind of things. So sometimes probably their grandchildren or their children are able to help them and open these kind of links for them, so that they can also be the part of these messages and these reminders. But it's true, it's a challenging for the elderly ones. But we can only suggest them, just access your grandchildren or your children and ask them if they can help you to operate your mobile, use the WhatsApp, and yeah.
And do you see that this online presence that you've been establishing during the past year, do you see something that you're going to continue?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, we have to continue, because I think 3 months ago like not 1 3 months, like every 1 month ago, mosques were open. Is only like 2 weeks ago, I think everything started to get closed, and if you go like 2 months ago, things were much better as compared to now. We were not getting much COVID cases. Every day was 10 cases, 5 cases. Now every day is more than 400, 300 cases. So mosques were open and everybody was coming in the mosque, sisters and brothers and children as well. But I still continued my live streaming on Facebook. We still continuing uploading our messages, our reminders on YouTube, because now people get accustomed of it. Now they were looking
Mm-hmm.
forward for it. They were looking forward for it, and some of them went in the comfort zone as well, because
Mm-hmm.
now they just prefer to listen the reminder at home instead of coming at the mosque.
Yeah.
That was one of the side effects.
Okay.
So, you see, but now, so we have to continue it. I don't think so. I will stop, and those who have started this already, I don't think so. They will stop it because they're seeing the benefit. A lot of people are able to connect with us through Facebook, through these live streaming, through this social media. It's going in thousands. It's going in thousands. So that is why I think this is very beneficial tool. This is a very beneficial method to reach to the minds and to reach to the hearts of people, to try to change their life, to try to comfort them and console them in these difficult times, in these challenging days and nights.
And my final question: what would be your words to the Muslim community and even the society at large in Trinidad and Tobago as we celebrate Eid?
Yes, so Eid gives us the message of unity. Eid gives us the message of peace and happiness and the family and respecting one another and helping one another. And that is why on the day of the Eid, we are recommended and we are actually ordered, Muslims, they are ordered to give some kind of charity, which is known as Sadqatul Fitr or Zakatul Fitr. So on the day of the Eid, it is my message, that try to reach to the needy, try to reach to the poor. There are a lot of people, they'll have lost their jobs. To be honest, they have lost their jobs because of new restrictions, because of new lockdown, because of this virus. They were not able to continue the things that they were doing it before this pandemic. So we have to find out those families. We have to access those needy people and to help them, because there are a lot of people that they are not asking you to help them, because they shy actually. They feel shame, to ask, to tell your needs, to tell their needs. But I believe they are the most deserving people, those who don't even ask. We have to reach them so that we can ask them, you need any help. So it is not necessary that we can help them with our wealth or with our finance. Sometimes just few words of comfort, just few words of hope that everything will get better, things are going to get better. If there is a darkness, light is coming. Although this is a tunnel, but at the end of the tunnel there is a light. So sometimes few words of hope, few words of comfort can make a big difference in somebody's life. So as a humanity, as a part of this mankind, as a human, we have to reach one another, to help them and to assist them in any way that is possible.
Imam, I want to say thank you for coming here on Mike on the Mic. I'm glad how you started the interview that we now have a new relationship because of COVID-19. I'm looking at the
Yes,
positives there. I want to
yes,
continue that relationship.
yes.
Just for you, the
Got it.
listening public, I reached out to Imam after a year later, and he was more than willing. And thank you. I want to
Thank
say
you so
thank
much.
you for coming here. Um,
Yes,
and I hope that you and your community and your family continue to be safe and have a happy and holy Eid.
thank you so much. Thank you all so much for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to share my views and to share my opinions. May God bless you, and may God bless your family and all your viewers, all your followers, those who follow you on your Facebook page and on your YouTube page. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Imam.
Bye bye.
Hi, good day, Kafayat and MTS. Welcome to my Connie Mike. How has things been on your guys' end? First Kafayat, then MTS. It's a year later. How has things been?
Well, a year later, we're still in this pandemic and hoping we get the vaccines also, we could get herd immunity and, we could get back to some form of normalcy. Comparing Ramadan to last year to this, we had a hint of hope in the first half of Ramadan because compared to last year, we were on a complete lockdown, strict lockdown. We had ease up coming up into Ramadan where the capacity of the mosque was, I think, 75 to 50%. So, yes, we had to show or practice social distancing in the mosque. So, we had like markers and space in between. And then we had like full sanitation. And we come in, we had to wash our hands, sanitize everything. So it was different from what we are accustomed. At least we could have congregated in the mosque, could have seen our friends, our family. And then midway into Ramadan, with the spike, we went back down to zero. Even like my mom and my sister was excited. It was like, all right, we're gonna get a dress, we're gonna get. Then midway with the spikes or whatever, back to square one basically.
So, a question for MTS too as well. As a practicing Muslim, having the experience from last year, is there any difference this year to last year, especially for you as one of the elders?
Well, of course. First of all, I'd like to say Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi to all the practicing Muslim and everyone. Good evening. And I'd like to say surely it is a great change, a great thing in our heart that we cannot do what we supposed to do as Muslims in the form of practicing in our masjid, praying in our masjid and congregating as how human beings supposed to be together and congregate in prayer and du'as and things like these things. But I must say that from last year to this year, we have been going through this lockdown and it is very sad. It makes a little difference in the sense that we could be as more unit in our family and it's sad to be honest with you. It is very sad that we cannot be among your Muslim brothers and sisters sharing the fasting and the breaking of the fast and all these wonderful things you do together as Muslims,
But we had like a trial version last year, So so taking those little tips from last year, coming into Ramadan now, like alright, like we know we're not gonna have like our iftars, our dinner and stuff now. So our game plan from last year was just duplicated into this year, So like mom, my uncles, my dad or whatever, like last year we'd organize meals, suhoor, that we used to either tidy fast in the morning or iftar, which we'd take to break the fast, and we'd organize like little boxes and packages, and we'd give it out to each family, units or whatever, upstairs, downstairs, across the road. So so getting that practice from last year, it was easy to incorporate it in this year. So hopefully next year, inshallah, next year we have some form of normalcy and we can actually go back to the mosque and have our dinners together as one, hopefully. Cross fingers.
Cross fingers. So there is evidence more now that the virus is airborne. Has that adjusted the way you guys do anything? Are you all doing anything different now as it's more contagious and now that it's airborne?
Well, my mother, like if you watching in the dictionary and you see paranoid, you will see my mother name there. Before I even come in the house, I have a bucket, I have to change clothes, everything sanitized. She has like about 15 Lysol bottles just to spray everything. Door handle. She look. Yeah. Even dad was in the garage. Her mom had to spray the door and somebody Lysol hit him on his face because she's so paranoid. Yeah, groceries. Anything reach in the house, they and me and my sister being more in and out because we are blessed to be working in this period, and we have to, think about them because of their age and try to protect them. So my mom is like a police, She's not playing at all with this virus.
Yeah. What is it like mentally knowing that you have to go to work and then you come back home and you have to break fast, and what is that situation like for you? Because it's different from last year to now. Um, yes, we some people say now we're suffering from pandemic overload, but I think it's more serious now than last year. What is that like knowing that you have to go to work and you have the possibility of bringing the virus home to your parents, but also knowing that you're not 100%, if you're in a fasting mode, your body might be telling you different signs. What has that been like?
Well, it's a bittersweet moment, it's a bittersweet feeling because the energy having the mask, you have mask fatigue, which is actually a thing because the oxygen level they keep in there, so it may be taken quicker than compared to last year. So that had some adjustment to do, but wearing masks now has become part of our uniform. Wherever we go, anywhere we go now, so our body adapt to it, and the going to work, and our company has put a lot of things in place, portable sanitation, continuous sanitation of the tables and the canteens and the offices. So it's a bittersweet, Michael. It's really a bittersweet. Yes, we're grateful to have our income in these times, but you have the concerns because you're hoping everybody following the same practices that you practice when it comes to safety and washing your hands and wearing your mask and clean clothes and everything. So you're hoping that everybody do share that same practice as you. So you have that in your mind, and you just had to do what is expected, which is to carry out your fasting last year compared to now, where we have to continue to wear the mask. Sometimes you get mask fatigue, which you have only mask is a deficit in oxygen because and it's just have to carry on your duties. So that to me working, especially in this weather we have, sun so hot, it is a little more draining, but you just have to push through it, and that was the difference for last year to now concerning the mask.
And winding down the interview now, I know I don't want to keep you guys too long. What are your words of advice for brothers and sisters? It's a year later. Ramadan is on a complete lockdown again. Last year was the same thing. What are your words of advice for your brothers and sisters to keep their faith alive and keep their faith in God? We see in India, Hindus actually burning statues and throwing statues in the road and that kind of stuff because they lost faith because of how dread and how serious this virus is. What will you tell your brothers and sisters out there who, in this moment, practicing Ramadan, getting closer to God, but want to keep that connection and keep that spirit alive? What will you tell them?
Well, actually, me and Dad was talking about it this morning. I'm an uncle. In Islam, we believe in, obviously, a being higher than us and everything. He's the best of planners. We could plan us how much we want. He is the best of planners. And through trials and through tribulations, we as Muslims, how we function and how we understand, we might want something now, but it doesn't work like that. We have to pray. We have to give dua and supplication. And when he sees fit, he will reward us. So it's not like, all right, I'm gonna make dua, I'm gonna pray and ask COVID to stop now, and it will stop now. We hold the faith. We have to respect the laws of the land, and we us Muslim, we don't lose our faith like that. We hold the faith and we go. Even you watch India, watch Palestine right now. I don't know if you're following what is happening in the Middle East right now, Palestine and Israel, which I don't want to touch too much because I know that's a sensitive topic. But even with everything that is going on, the oppression of our Muslim brothers and sisters, they are still holding the fast. Some of them don't even have suhoor, some of them don't even have iftar, and they're still holding the fast. So if they could hold the fast under those circumstances, how blessed are us to be in Trinidad and still have the things that we need. We mightn't be able to go in the mosque, we might be able to congregate, we might be able to, go by our uncle and aunt freely, but compared to them and the faith they hold to go through all these trials and tribulation is just a minute for us. So in Islam, everything is ordained by him, and we just have to live a good life, make prayer, ask him, and when it's fit in his time, he will make it easy for us.
So true, so true. And I like to tell all my brothers and sisters in Islam, this month of Ramadan is a blessed month, and we are very happy to be able to fast in this month and give our charity, our zakat, our sadaqah jariyah, whatever good deed we do, it is recorded and it is expanding by 70 times more the blessing. So don't give up on the mercy of God. And whatever trials we are going through is from God. And He alone will release us. So we have to get together as a community, as a nation, and call a day of prayer and unite each other to pray for this pandemic. I ask God to help us and protect all our people all over the world. Thank you very much.
And Imtiaz, as I have you on the line, let me ask one question that popped into my mind, and I think it's a very pertinent question. As a parent of someone who has to go out and has to go and actually go out and interact during this pandemic, what is that like for you, knowing that your son is an essential worker and he has to go out?
Well, yes, in life there is always a little scared because none of us do have it, and we've seen how this thing is moving so vicious and new how they call it,
Strain.
a new strain that it can affect your airborne and all these things. So everything we put our trust in our Lord. We have to, as the Muslims say, tie your camel. You can't tie your camel and expect God to watch your camel. You have to make sure and tie your camel. Just like your family, you have to make sure and protect yourself as much as possible. And whatever happened in our lives is from the Creator. And we have to be just thankful so far. And if death come upon us, we still have to be thankful for His mercy and blessing. So we always have faith in the one true God. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming here on Mike on the Mic. It was good to touch base a year later. I'm sorry we're still in the same pandemic, but it's good to see that people like yourselves are holding faith and having that consciousness to protect your family, but also to stay true to your religion. Thanks for joining me here, man, guys.
To all the Muslim families out there, Eid Mubarak, and hopefully, inshallah, next year we'll go back to some form of normalcy.
Take care, guys.
All right, Mike.